We did not come to play with the jollof rice. I see you. How many of us are from Asia? Woo, hello, hello, hello. Is Europe represented? Woo! What about the USA? All right then. Well, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to go back to regular programming. If we could just all please settle down. All right then, now goalkeepers, for the rest of the morning, we're going to turn our attention to action and collaboration. Our first example, the Goalkeepers accelerators, and this unique program scans the landscape for opportunities that are on this cusp of scale and where collaboration and a global platform could bring about game-changing progress on one or more of the goals. Now, each accelerator crowds in new partners whose collective investment, brain power, and big ideas have delivered significant and often pioneering results. Accelerators make sure that Goalkeepers is more than just a talk. And now I'd like to introduce award-winning journalist Tulip Mazumdar to take us through this year's accelerators.
Thank you very much to Tamelo, and hello, Goalkeepers. As global health correspondent, my job is to seek out stories that will shape the future of human health and our survival. Whether it's efforts to contain Ebola in West Africa and now the DRC, or tackling drug-resistant TB in India, or vaccine hesitancy here in the US. I've seen firsthand that severe health threats are only ever overcome when people get together, coordinate, collaborate, share information, and commit to change. The accelerators we're announcing today are all wonderful examples of this. We heard earlier on Melinda's panel about some of the things that are undermining access to contraceptives. Our first accelerator is a new approach to exactly this issue in Ethiopia, where almost half of the country's girls are married before 18, and the pressure to conceive is extremely high, an experience that is sadly common for many young women all around the world. So when Population Services International decided to face this challenge head-on, they knew they'd have to take a different approach. And the approach that they hit upon is something called Smart Start, and it was created with Ethiopian youth for Ethiopian youth. And here among us is one of the Ethiopian young people who helped make it all possible, Bitania Lulu Bahanu. Hello. Hi, tell us a bit more about the program you helped design and why it's seeing such incredible results.
So what's very exciting and great about Smart Start is that it was designed by the people that it's for. So we have conversations with rural couple, with the men and boys included, and we set the goal. They tell us the goals they have for themselves. They share with us their dreams and the financial plan. So we help them understand the economic benefit of delaying their first pregnancies and spacing out the subsequent babies. And within just 19 months of implementation, we've managed to help 24,000 girls in the rural Ethiopia to adopt modern contraception.
Change can happen very quickly. And so today, Bitania, along with these incredible people sitting all around you, I understand you've got some new expansions to announce as well.
Yes, we do. Because of the astounding results that Smart Start is making, it's now being adopted nationally, thanks to the exciting partnership with the Ethiopian government and the additional funding from Children's Investment Fund Foundation. So it's going to be embedded in the healthcare system of the country, and it will impact over 500,000 girls in the next 4 years.
It's fantastic. And there's more still.
There's more. With additional investment from philanthropists with Maverick Next, Smart Start is going to design a program with a German NGO called ESW to create economic and empowerment opportunities for these young married couple. And it's going to start in 2 regions in Ethiopia in May next year.
That's fantastic. Well done on all your work. Thank you, Britannia. And finally, beyond Ethiopia, Nigeria and Tanzania are also running programs similar to Smart Start. And today we are delighted to announce the Nigeria program is increasing from 3 sites to 30. So that is a 10-fold increase, which exemplifies the kind of change accelerators aim to make. And it's thanks to an investment of over $1 million from Gates Philanthropy Partners. And I think it's also very important to point out that this kind of program has the potential to reach all 23 million adolescent girls in the world without access to contraception. Population Services International is seeking new funding partners, country implementers, and young people, like many of the people here in this room, to work with in countries across sub-Saharan Africa and in Asia as well. So do get on board if you can. Right, everyone, let's have a big round of applause to all of those partners. Please stand up and accept this standing ovation. Congratulations. And as a further recognition, I'm also very proud to introduce a message from a woman who is an African hero and whose leadership as Ethiopia's first female president is changing the aspirations of girls there. President Sahle-Work Zewde.
Greetings to all. While I can't be with you today, I'm so happy to join you by video to express the Ethiopian government's commitment to achieving the SDGs and our pride in being a part of the innovative work and extraordinary partnerships generated by Goalkeepers. The programs being adopted in my country will help ensure that the lives of all our citizens continue to improve, in particular the lives and futures of our adolescents and youth. I'm proud to say there are many transformative programs that are providing young married couples with life planning and access to contraception, positively impacting the lives of young women today and their children tomorrow. These programs are reshaping the aspirations and futures of our girls and young women. So today, we're excited to celebrate Ethiopia's progress with you, and I'm grateful to all you goalkeepers for the work you're doing to help chart our planet on a better path.
Thank you so much to President Sahle-Work Zewde and to Britannia as well. Now, on to accelerator number 2. And this is something that really has had an impact on me personally, because I had my first child, a little boy called Rion, just 18 months ago. In fact, he is here in the room over there reading a very important book. Hello, he's a little mini baby goalkeeper. But because I live where I live in London, during my pregnancy, I had access to vitamins and minerals along with good nutrition to keep me healthy and to allow Rion to develop as optimally as possible. It's what every mother, no matter where they live in the world, wants for their child. But most women in low to middle income countries don't actually get that chance. Luckily though, things are changing. And you may have noticed from today that Bill Gates loves a good chart. And he famously said that this one is his favorite. And you can see why, that lovely downward curve. But 5.8 million children dying every year before they reach their 5th birthday is still clearly way too high. So accelerator number 2 aims to make this chart even more beautiful as we speed towards 2030. Poor maternal and child nutrition is the underlying cause of almost half of all these remaining preventable deaths. It also leads to stunted physical and mental development in children. It's hard to find a starker example of inequality. But what if mums at risk of malnutrition had access to the same prenatal nutrition that women like me and many of you here have in high-income countries? The Healthy Mother, Healthy Babies Accelerator plans to get multiple micronutrient supplements, known as MMS, a tiny prenatal wonder pill, into the hands of mothers who need it most by bringing together nearly $50 million in financial and in-kind contributions to increase supply, demand, and delivery of MMS worldwide. Over the next 3 years, this accelerator will reach more than 17.5 million pregnant women and their newborns in multiple countries, including Myanmar, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. Sometimes, progress is a question of the right people and partners taking action from their respective points of influence to do the right thing. This is exactly what these 12 partners on the screen behind me are doing, challenging a bureaucratic norm to change the odds. Some of them are in this room today, and you deserve to be applauded. Okay, now to our final accelerator announcement of 2019, and it's an issue that affects probably every single person in this room: mental health. 1 in 4 people will experience mental health problems in their lifetime, and that means you or someone you know will need support at some point. The term mental health encapsulates a vast number of conditions, which are often misunderstood because so many people suffer in silence due to shame and stigma. I'm sure many people in this room have personally struggled with their own mental health or experienced it with a friend or a colleague or a relative. I know I certainly have. The woman coming up on stage now is a powerful advocate for openness about mental health, and she has dedicated herself to talking about it frankly, openly, and passionately. What she's about to share will remind us that behind the statistics are real people, real lives touched by this. Please welcome goalkeeper Burna Bell.
Every 40 seconds, someone, somewhere in the world, dies by suicide. This included my beloved husband, Rob, in 2015. And this is a letter that I wrote to his depression. Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. Come now, don't be shy. Coyness, it doesn't suit you when I've seen you command the stage in my loved one's brain. Don't speak in whispers when we know how deafening your voice was in stapling him to his bed. How your resolve is vast, singular, and resolute, though you veil it in the softness of pillows and the weight of thick curtains pressing the daylight out. Murderer is what I wanted to scream at you 4 years ago when he took his own life. I believed you had won, and when I experienced depression, because he had died, I believed that you had come for me too. But now I feel like I am looking at you through plexiglass. You can't touch me or hurt me. You may find yourself near my borders and you may think that you can visit. Meander down my path as if I was an old friend. But don't bother, you aren't welcome. I've seen you off once and I will do so again. I wondered how you became so powerful, but then I remembered that the biggest weapon we ever handed you was invisibility. When Rob told me you were a part of his life, I didn't know anything about you. It was like someone dropping the name of a pop star that I didn't recognize. And I nodded along, like I knew what he was talking about, when the reality was that I didn't. And so you slid under the radar of stigma and silence, and you did it so quietly, I didn't even know you were there. I didn't know it was you saying, "I'm fine," as I watched him slowly turn from someone who blasted The Specials and Neil Young and Gil Scott-Heron into someone who played no music at all. And I didn't know you were the reason his garden went from being his pride and joy, filled with tulips and alliums and obscure varieties of lilies, into an unkempt tangle. And I started to suspect it when I saw his body wasting away, a landscape of flesh that was as familiar to me as my own, from the tattoos down his back to the curve of his bottom. And when I'd come home from work and check the bin and find nothing there because he hadn't eaten, because you'd been feasting on him instead. There is so much I didn't know. And I wish I'd known that just getting out of bed wouldn't make him feel better. I wish I'd known how you are mistakenly written off as a mental illness when you are so physical in your output. But while I wish that there was more that I had known to support him better, I do know that the world that we are in now is not the same as it was before. More is known about you, and we are better equipped to understand you, to fight you, and to help others when they need it. Now I know how to recognize you. I know when you have made a home in another person. I can see you with your hands in the fuse box of their mind, flicking the switches off one by one. And there is one thing you should know. For all that you did to him and all that you took from us, I never lost sight of who he was. In between the days when he felt well, my husband returned. He never stopped being loving. He never stopped cuddling our dog. He still made up limericks about his friends to troll them with, performed wizardry in the kitchen, sang to Dolly Parton, prepared his pots with plants for spring. And I used to wrongly wonder if we would ever have a normal life on the days when you would visit for weeks and months on end. And now I know that we had a life that wasn't perfect, but it was filled with love. And the fact that he was able to do any of the things he did with you holding him hostage only makes me love and respect him more. So remember that I know you. Remember that I have never forgotten or forgiven that you entered my house without permission. And when I see you doing your work in the home of another, don't think for 1 minute that I will remain silent. I, like so many others, will come for you.
Well done. Well done, Purna. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's very moving. So I think we can all agree that there is no doubt at all that we need this accelerator. All of us in this room, I think, would be hard pushed not to be touched by that and to really understand the importance of the work that these organisations working around mental health are doing. And the good news is that there are many organisations, and I really want to focus on one of them now, because today I'm going to come and find another one of our goalkeepers, Victor Hugo, who's in the audience for us. Hello.
Absolutely. I'm doing good.
Okay, so you've been leading the charge for mental health provision in Nigeria, as well as countries all around the world, in your Speak Your Mind campaign. Just tell us about the Global Mental Health Accelerator.
Thank you. This accelerator is bringing together governments, civil society groups, private sector and philanthropies to make sure and to speed up efforts to make sure that everyone everywhere has access to mental health services. Starting with global businesses, today we are proud to announce a global mental health partnership between the Speak Your Mind campaign and HSBC. You should clap for that. Yeah. So this will launch a mental health education program available to all of its 238,000 employees, and which is found across 65 countries and territories, which is amazing. This program has already been started by its employees, but what's more interesting is that HSBC plans to share what they are learning and what they have learned with other employers who might be in this room, who are willing to make mental health a priority for their employees as well.
It's to make people more open in their workplace and opening up elsewhere as well. So that's what companies are doing. What about governments?
Well, in many countries across the world, including mine, Nigeria, legislation still exists that prevents people from accessing quality mental health services. But with the help of accelerator partners here today and the Speak Your Mind campaign, we are beginning to see tangible and incredible country successes, including in countries like Tonga and India. As of today, we are very happy to announce that the government of Sierra Leone is going to review the Lunacy Act of 1902, which has led to the involuntary incarceration of people living with mental health conditions like myself. And by next year, a new bill is going to be taken to Parliament to vote on ensuring and guaranteeing that everyone and every citizen in Sierra Leone has access to mental health support.
Great, wonderful. Definitely deserves a round of applause. And you're also launching the first ever independent monitoring and accountability mechanism for mental health. Tell us a bit about that.
Yes, indeed. This is a partnership across civil society groups and an academia called the Countdown to 2030. This is going to provide crucial and up-to-date data that will help governments to better understand the level of need for mental health support in their countries, and will help investors, funders who are most likely in this room, to direct funding towards supporting mental health services. It is great because the system is going to be open access and available for use by governments, researchers, policymakers, campaigners, and changemakers across the world, because obviously understanding the scale of the problem, it's so vital if we are to find and invest in the solutions.
Okay, Victor, thank you very much. We're already seeing the impact that funding is making. So it's brilliant. We've heard there about 3 ways to help make mental health available for all. And the remarkable partners who have made this accelerator possible are here in this room. We would love you to stand up if you're able to and you would like to, and accept this round of applause. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Well, I hope you've seen yourselves in these accelerators and that you're left feeling powered up and inspired to join forces with one of them, or perhaps work with Goalkeepers to launch your own accelerator for next year. This is about you, about collaboration to drive impact and to drive change. So let's see one of you on this enormous, very impressive screen here next year, as we all accelerate our efforts to reach the goals. To play us out, I am delighted to welcome back Oji Ifediora to sing You Will Be Found. Thank you very much.
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall, nobody would hear? Well, let that lonely feeling wash away. Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand. And oh, someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found. You will be found.
I am found. All right, so my floor manager was looking for me there. All right, thank you so much, OG, did amazing. And thank you so much to Puna. Thank you so much, Tulip, you also did amazing work. Now, that was incredibly moving, and we should all be proud of this work. And if any of you are particularly passionate about any of these accelerators, do take the opportunity today to find out more about them and network and collaborate. And now, as we approach the end of the morning, I just want to talk to you more about Goalkeepers, about what we can do together right now. Because 2020 is just not another date. 2020 should be the great Goalkeepers year. Do you agree with me? Yeah, most definitely. It's a third of the way through the SDGs. It's a moment to lock in a system of real commitment, to double up on financing, to focus the UN and governments on their own promises. It's not an optional extra push. It's an emergency. And the campaign is a crucial emergency measure. Now, as host of this incredible day, I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to tell you some of the most exciting plans and events that are already happening, all of which I hope you will support and should support you in all your work. So first, let us think back to what happened just this Friday, where millions of people around the world from over 150 different countries walked out of their homes, out of their schools, out of their workplaces to take to the street and demand urgent action on climate change. Just here in New York City alone, it was estimated that over 250,000 people took part, led by Greta Thunberg, a young activist who has become an inspiration to all of us. Her campaign is now working with Action for Sustainable Development, specifically aimed at the SDGs, who this week are organizing action in thousands of cities and hundreds of countries in the hashtag Stand Together Now campaign. Now, next year, 2020, of course, they're planning an even bigger push. And Goalkeepers themselves are creating their own campaign and events. Kennedy Odede, who's in this room right now. Kennedy, where are you? I'd like to acknowledge you, please. May you please wave? Hey, Kennedy, I see you. Now, you're holding a goal summit in January in Kibera, this in Kenya, to focus efforts on tackling poverty. Then there are sporting and cultural events to create noise and action around the goals. Now, the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympic Games are going to be the first games to adopt the goals, and to build on that, there will be a Goalkeepers in Tokyo the day before the Olympics opening ceremony. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing. Let's move on to the next one. The theatre world is also joining in the push for the goals in 2020. The Good Chance Theatre, which is an extraordinary group of artists and filmmakers, well, they are creating a project called The Walk, which will see a giant puppet of a young Syrian girl called Little Amal travel through Turkey and Europe. Little Amal represents the young displaced children who journey alone, and she will be stopping at hundreds of towns, of schools, of churches and theatres, engaging with civil society and drawing attention to the hardships that thousands of children are struggling with every day. Now, the involvement of the world of culture and performance doesn't stop there, ladies and gentlemen, because next year, we like to party here. I know what you're thinking, that's right. Global Citizen. Well, they're putting on an epic scene of festivals on 5 continents called Global Goal Live, with huge reach online and on television. Well, the aim of that is that there are, of course, billions of more people who will then be made aware of the goals, and millions more will be recruited to be active campaigners to fight for them in the next decade. Now, let's take a pause right here for a moment and remind ourselves with a little film of just what can happen when we campaign and collaborate. Amazing, right? Exciting stuff. Now, the film said at Goalkeepers, we must assemble. But now, to take us through the last part of this session, please welcome to the stage two long-time campaigners from different parts of the world with different life experiences, but united in their commitment to the goals and their intention to collaborate to make 2020 a year of unprecedented action and progress. Well, first, she's the vice chairperson of the Ukweli Party in Kenya, a 2018 Obama Africa Leadership Fellow, and was voted one of Africa's top 100 most influential youth in the category of governance and law. She's also a member of the Goalkeepers Advisory Board, Shefa Okore. Yeah. She will be with us in just a moment, but joining her, he has been at the forefront of campaigning for the goals since 2015 and the MDGs before that. He's also the writer of films like Notting Hill, Love Actually, Mr. Bean. He doesn't know it. He's going to write Tumelo Takes New York City. We're still talking. I know, Richard, we're still talking. But he's also the co-founder of Project Everyone and the UN advocate for global goals. Richard Curtis. Give them a warm round of applause.
Hello, Goalkeepers. Hello, Goalkeepers. How are you? I said if anything fails today, at least I brought some color, right? Thank you to Melo. I aspire to speak as eloquently as she does. It is a wonderful day, and it is wonderful to see all of you. I must admit, this room feels like nothing is impossible. The idea of community is one that is very close to my heart. I believe in the singularity of purpose, the unity of voices, and the power and togetherness of the people in this particular room. This is what drives us as an advisory board, both collectively and individually, in finding ways of ensuring that the community of goalkeepers harnesses its power and works as one.
That's so true. It's really good to be here, and great to be able to really take on the issue of what we're going to be asking you to do during the course of this year. I've been in campaigns for a long time now, and I would just say that the great miracle of them is you decide to do one small thing, and then because you've opened a door, then you suddenly find you've got unexpected partners, whether it be business, other campaigners, investment people, politicians who suddenly come out. So what I would say is, really, we would really love you to focus now on this particular year, on the next 18 months, so that you can feel as you read all the gloomy stuff in the papers and think to yourself, then you can say, well, no, actually, I'm doing something about that right now. So I hope it's going to be a profoundly satisfying and a profoundly exhausting 12 months. And let's just go through some of the ways that we can push things forward in 2020.
No one is being asked to stop what they're already doing.
Yeah, I know. What we're asking is for you to just give like 10% extra, as if you weren't trying hard enough, to link it into the goals and put extra pressure on everybody you're working with to make it such a noticeable year.
Absolutely. And just to make it clear, here are a few of the things we can all do. And I'd like to talk to some goalkeepers now to go through this. So first, we must continue telling everyone about these particular goals. Yes, that's literally everyone, everybody. Every interview you might do, every article you read, every podcast you host or listen to, every website you click on, talk about these goals.
Yeah, even when they don't want you to. There we go. Also, a really important and interesting thing, we've heard a lot about that today, is using data to track progress. Absolutely. Really obsessed by this. It can no longer be just sort of dreams and hopes. Up-to-date data is so important. It will prove you're right. It becomes politically unarguable. We've got Olushan Onigbindi here. You really work with data, don't you, particularly to get things done. Can you tell us how it works and whether or not it can really make things happen?
Yeah, thank you very much, Richard. So in the last 8 years, what we have seen is that when we use data in a very simple and actionable way, citizens act in their own self-interest and hold government to account or ensure service delivery. We have had situations where schools were not being built, hospitals were not being built, and we allocated funds in the budget. And we have like 400 students in the classroom, and over the years, budgets have been allocated to them. Then we give them this data, then we see a spring of hope in them, and they see that they can find a way to demand effective service delivery, and schools get built, and children are happy, and society gets better.
That's so brilliant. So you know there's meant to be a school, you tell the government that there's meant to be a school, and then there is a school. And we're going to be really trying to find the key data points that really make people emotional this year about the goals and put them out there as much as we can.
Absolutely. And once we have our data on lockdown, we need to link our current campaigns or your current campaigns to the actual goals. One goalkeeper doing this in the most impressive way is in this room. Kekashan Basu. Can I ask you to stand up and tell us all that you're doing, and are you finding the goals useful when you fight for what is right?
Thank you very much. 7 years ago, when I was 12 years old, I founded Green Hope Foundation, a social innovation enterprise that uses education for sustainable development as a transformative tool to engage and educate children and youth, especially those who are marginalized. And we use innovative modes of communication such as music, art, dance, drama, sports to teach children and youth about the Sustainable Development Goals, and then teach them to implement local solutions to issues that are specific to their region. And that ranges from mitigating climate change, gender equality, biodiversity conservation, peace building, social justice. And now we have 1,362 members taking grassroots level action in our 14 country chapters. And these children include Syrian refugees, Rohingya refugees, children of prisoners in Kenya and Nepal, the homeless and orphans in Suriname, Bangladesh, and India. And the SDGs, the main objective is to leave no one behind. And that is exactly what my team and I are doing by moving beyond the rhetoric and taking local grassroots level action so as to leave no one behind.
Phenomenal.
That is so important, and any time that you can, as it were, quote and use the muscle of the goals, I think that's fantastic. Another thing that I've written here is transform business to align with the goals. I think the big shock to everyone has been in the last few years the extent to which business have actually adopted the goals. They're a long-term view, and it's actually they're used to working with programs and juxtaposing what they do with actual plans. And also there's this sort of consumer revolution happening where consumers and their employees want purpose-driven business. We've got a new business group called the Business Avengers, which includes companies like Nike, Salesforce, Coca-Cola, Alibaba, all committing to driving progress to the goals. And 20% of you in the room today are running businesses. And we would really ask that you do everything you can to use your business to help the goals, invest your money and pension sustainably, work for gender equality, look at your supply chains, talk to other businesses you work with about these issues. Absolutely everything. Business will be a key driver in 2020.
Absolutely. Now it's obvious and very crucial to form new partnerships for action. We all know the importance of partnerships. Again, we've seen this happen right here in this room, and I'm lucky that I was in the audience when this happened. When the Points guy and Nimco Ali joined together, and he sorted her travel to Somaliland, where she changed the laws on FGM. These partnerships can happen today, right this very minute. It may even be that the person sitting next to you could be your partner in accelerating your work. Right, Richard?
Yeah, it's a bit like when you go to church, they always make you shake the hand of the person next door. Get their business card, find out whether or not they've got more money than you, and then get them to help you. That's the advice. It's also, really important. There's one other area here to support and campaign for these key political meetings. This is so important, it's one of the things campaigning can do, particularly in the countries where the meetings are happening. If you take a look here, we've got Gavi happening in the UK, and the outcome of these sort of campaigns will be affected by and the drive and the visibility of this campaign. So we'll be working on Gavi. Gavi's just achieved the most extraordinary things with mechanisms like it. Child deaths preventable diseases have gone down from 10 million in 2000 to about 5 million today. That's 14,000 lives saved. So let me just see, do we have anyone from Ethiopia, Rwanda, UK, Portugal, Japan, France, China, or the USA here? Raise your hands. Okay, that's your job. Find out the big things that are happening and try and get yourself, as it were, into the news fighting for those.
Great. Next up, educate the next generation. This is so important. Project Everyone do the world's largest lesson in 153 countries to spread news about goals among school children. Two goalkeepers here today, Simiye Michael and Damien Isaac from Nigeria, are working to reach 500,000 children in schools, communities, and displaced people's camps across Nigeria this October. Then we must all try to mobilize our communities for the goals. We've seen that an epic scale in the climate march on Friday. But it all works the way down, it must all work the way down to communities. Amika George is here, who won an award with us last year for her work on Campaign for Free Periods, which works to change the laws in the UK to end period poverty. And she's not stopping there. In 2020, we will see her export this powerful, positive movement for good to other European countries. Go, Amika. I really want to live in a world where there's no menstrual stigma.
Yeah, I mean, this is so important, this idea that if you found that your idea works, you expand it and expand it to other communities and expand it to other countries. And it is so necessary then to drive local accountability, to make sure that the promises that people have made are actually, you know, fulfilled. This is what campaigners are for, just not allowing laws and promises to stay dormant. So be like a dog on a bone with this. If the system isn't working in your town or in your city, use the goals, use the fact they're promised, and target the people who have promised and get it done. We've got Amanda Wynne here, who just yesterday opened the General Assembly at the UN. Amanda, please tell us what you've been doing, how you've targeted things and got things done.
My name is Amanda Wynne. I'm the daughter of Vietnamese boat refugees, and I'm also a rape survivor. And like so many rape survivors, when we met a broken criminal justice system, I felt despair, but I also felt fire. And so my team and I decided to rewrite the law. In America, and some states still, rape kits, the evidence that's collected from our bodies, are destroyed untested at 6 months or at 30 days, even if the statute of limitations is much longer than that. So what we did was we put our heads together. We wrote the Sexual Assault Survivor Bill of Rights. We passed it unanimously through the United States Congress in 2016. But my story is not alone. Now, the United Nations has never passed a General Assembly resolution that's focused solely on rape. There are 1.3 billion rape survivors in the world. And for the first time ever in history, we flew in rape survivors from all around the world. And then we asked Epstein's, R. Kelly's, and Larry Nassar's survivors to join us. Because we are more than the men who raped us. We are saying the most powerful tool we have is our voice. And that's why peace is not the absence of visible conflict. Rather, in order for us to actually achieve peace, survivors must have access to justice. And we want to ask people to join us in helping us push for this UN resolution.
Thanks. Amanda, that's so brilliant to hear you say that. And I've got the feeling that almost everyone here has a really single, passionate aim that they're fighting for. And I think the glory of the SDGs is their comprehensiveness, that they actually, for the first time, have respected gender, respected climate, looked for justice, fought poverty, fought health. So I'm asking all of you who are passionate about each of those individual issues to continue to dedicate your life, as Amanda does, to fighting for what you believe in, but to, as it were, add it, like you're lining up in one great battle to achieve in 2020 a sea change in terms of what politicians are doing and where finance is going to come from, because that will be the thing that makes a difference and sets us up for a great decade rather than a disappointing one.
To round it all off, next September, the plan is to tie all of these fantastical actions together with a deadline when we show up as a community, and that is the 25th of September 2020, a global day of action, the 5th anniversary of the original announcement of the goals in 2015. That will be the day, the deadline, when the full force of all our work will pay off. And then on the 26th September, we can relax, maybe for a day or two, and then get back to work. Maybe grab gin.
Yeah, there'll be no end of partners. We will have churches, we will have businesses, we will have trade unions, we will have school children, we will have feminists, we will have academics, and we will have, most importantly, and I'm so proud to be one of you, goalkeepers. And good luck for an extraordinary and amazing year.
"2020 is going to be an extraordinary year. Goalkeepers are in a position to be key players in pushing for the goals, to catch up where they should be. We thank you in advance for all of your work. And before I leave, before Richard and I leave, I wanted to say, if anything fails, because the journey to keeping these goals are hard, the pushback is immense, the inequality, the biases, the unlearning, the questions we need to have, the discomfort we need to face, and the spaces we need to occupy to achieve these goals are not going to be given to us easy. And if all of that fails, may we remember that in this very day and this very moment, we came and we were keepers of ourselves. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Shaifa and Richard. Now here, to end off our afternoon, we'd like to, of course, give the stage to some voices, not just any ordinary voices, rather. These are young goalkeepers, and I'm really excited to hear what they have to say. Now, they are often not only just younger, but also wiser and more determined than the generation before. So please, first, allow me to welcome to the stage Alexandria Villaseñor. Alexandria will be 25 in 2030.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexandria Villaseñor. I'm a climate activist, and I'm 14. Scientists tell us that we are running out of time to take action against the climate crisis. In fact, we have been told we have less than 11 years to reduce greenhouse gas emissions globally by half, or else we face significant, irreversible, catastrophic consequences of climate change. I am a climate activist because that timeline ends when I am only 25 years old. The climate crisis will affect my generation the most. At the end of last year, I was visiting my family back in California when the campfires broke out. It was scary because it was the worst air quality in the world, and we had to roll up wet towels and put them under the doors to stop the smoke from coming in. I was lucky. My family were lucky, but many others weren't. Once I got back home to New York City, I started researching what's happening in the atmosphere. And through that process, I came across Greta Thunberg. I'm now an international organizer for Fridays for Future. I strike school every Friday in front of the United Nations headquarters in solidarity with Greta and the Fridays for Future movement. I have also founded my own nonprofit, Earth Uprising International, focused on getting climate education into school and mobilizing students to take direct action for their futures. In 2020, I am committed to grow the movement of young people taking climate action for our futures and to empowering young people to share the knowledge of climate science with others. I'm committed to continuing to be a better keeper of Goal 13. This is my story. Now, please welcome my fellow goalkeeper, Elvis Eze, and hear his story. He will be 38 in 2030.
Hello, my name is Elvis. I am an emergency medicine doctor during my hospital shifts and a health advocate all day, every day. I am a youth ambassador for Malaria No More UK, helping to mobilize funding and support to end malaria in my lifetime. A child dies from malaria every 2 minutes. I have battled malaria myself, both as a patient and as a physician. I know too well how illnesses can rob us of our potential, productivity, and peace. The biggest challenges are the normalization of the disease in affected populations and limited resources in the worst affected areas. I have seen beyond data and statistics. I have seen death and suffering from the disease. I am certain we can do so much better for our world. I have now found my voice against the disease, and I can see how much progress is possible. 2020 is the most important year, and I commit to continuing to advocate for action and accountability through all available platforms and researching solutions for malaria elimination, particularly in relation to humanitarian emergencies and climate change. I am committed to continuing to be a better keeper of Goal 3. This is my story. Now, please welcome my fellow goalkeeper, Duan Duan Yuan, and hear her story. She will be 42 in 2030.
Hello, my name is Duan Duan. I'm a vocal advocate for accessible and effective mental health care. Depression is a major pervasive health issue in China today. But stigma is still significant in our culture, with many barriers to receiving treatment and support. In China, less than 6% of people get treated in 2026. Also, the lack of understanding and the lack of professional and accurate information in our public media means that those people are left untreated and invisible. As a journalist for many years, I know exactly how important to telling the real-life story and necessary to communicate with them. This topic is also I have personal investment in, as I have suffered from depression for many years. I accurately recognize the importance of speaking out mental health issues, fighting the stigma, educating the public, and advocating for the policies that support people. Even today, I'm still building my courage to the point where I will feel comfortable to tell my parents about my disease. This secrecy must stop. In 2020, I'm committed to continue advocating for mental health issues and helping our country to integrate mental health into general health. I'm committed to continue to be a better keeper of Goal 3. This is my story. Now, back to you, Alexandra.
We are committed to come together in 2020 for a super year of action. Individually and together, we will seize local, regional, and global opportunities to the fight against poverty, inequality, gender injustice, and for good health services, the defeat of climate change. This is our message. This is our promise. And together, we must keep the goals. 2020 is the year to make a change with urgency through bold partnerships to increase our ambition and change our path together. So, in 1 year, on September 25th, 2020, we will commit to come together for a global day of action. And we will call on all our world leaders to come back to the United Nations and report on what have been done to advance prospect and equality, an opportunity for all. Together, we will keep the goals. It's time to stand together and to act for people and for planet.
Well done, Alexandria, Elvis, and of course, Duan Duan. If there's one thing, I don't know if you caught it, and I'm just saying that they introduced basically goal number 18, which is fighting against age shaming. I'm proud of you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been amazing. Thank you for joining us. I don't leave you just like that. We have OG back on stage. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for joining us and welcome OG.